In life, not much is consistent. Things are constantly changing, and the real estate market is no different. So if you're thinking about selling a home in 2022, I want to point out some of the things that might be different for you as a seller, or maybe a few things that you should consider if you're going to be selling your house in 2022. But before we jump into any of that, just a little bit of house cleaning. I'm Chris Nelson with Genstone Realty, team lead of the Nelson Home Group. And this channel is all about real estate advice, tips, and tech. So if any of that excites you, you're in the right place, but do me a favor, drop me a comment, hit that thumbs up, consider subscribing, and mash that bell so you're notified of my future content. So as I mentioned, I just want to give a few tips or point out a few things that might put you in a better position if you're thinking about selling your home in 2022. Now, as I mentioned, things are forever changing, and the real estate market has changed quite a bit over the last couple years. I have been a licensed realtor here right outside of Philadelphia for going on over 20 years. And I can't say I've seen as many changes as I have seen since the pandemic. 2020 and 2021 were very unique real estate markets, and 2022 is going to be unique as well. So let's get to it. What's changed? Some things you may want to consider when you are listing your house in 2022 is to get your deposit from your buyer quickly. So the standard agreement of sale states that the buyer has 5 days. Now, the language in this field can be altered, but the standard language says that the buyer is going to deliver their deposit within 5 days. So if for whatever reason the buyer has cold feet, a change of heart, anything along those lines within the first 5 days, well, technically they don't have any skin in the game until that deposit is received. Now, I've seen in other states language put into place where buyers do have some type of financial obligation. They can't just make an offer, get it accepted, and then not make the deposit. But here in PA, if the buyer doesn't make the deposit, there really isn't strong language about recourse. So you want to make sure you're getting your deposit from your buyer as soon as possible, and then allowing them to do their due diligence process. Another thing that I can't really say has changed specifically for 2022, this is something that I've been suggesting for the last few years, but get away from the old school pricing mentality. We are not pricing used cars here. So where I'm going with that is, let's say for example, your house is worth right around $300,000. Rather than listing it for $299,900, list it for $300,000 even, for a couple different reasons. One, most of your competitors or the other realtors out there are gonna go with that old school mentality. So majority of homes are going to have a very similar $299,900 list price. By going at $300,000, you are separating yourself from the crowd. But the bigger thing is the filters that we are subject to when we're searching for properties online. A lot of times when we're online and we're either on our phone, our tablet, or our computer, and we're looking for real estate or anything along those lines, we're usually subject to drop-down boxes with preset price points. The price points are usually in $25,000 or $50,000 increments, but if you price right at $300,000, then you should be right at the top of that thread or that search. So long as the buyer has their search set up from highest to lowest, your property would rank higher than any of the other ones listed at $299,900. So just a small critique like that could get some more eyes on your property, but definitely get away from the old school pricing methods that were used. Now let's talk a little bit about the house. And again, I can't say that this is specific to 2022, but I think it has a lot more weight in 2022, and that's to declutter your house as much as possible. And the reason for that is we now find ourselves spending more time indoors, and buyers are looking at properties a little bit differently now. They know that they may be spending more time indoors, and they want to have enough space to grow into a home. Now, again, as I mentioned, this isn't something that is necessarily specific to 2022 because we've been telling buyers to do this all along, but I think you may need to go a step above and declutter even more. Really get rid of a lot of the things that just aren't necessary. Really open up that space and let buyers see all of the room that they have to grow into the property. And speaking of decluttering space, while we're on the subject of space, if you have the opportunity to repurpose space in your home, consider doing that as well. Things that buyers are looking for in a home has changed over the years. We've seen an increase of buyers looking for home office space, home gyms, other recreational space, and this also applies to outdoor space. Let's say, for example, you have a garage that maybe is too small to fit your traditional size car, and you have some things in there. Maybe that space could be repurposed as an at-home gym. If you have some gym equipment laying around in the house, maybe you could set that garage up so that when a buyer comes there, they can see that, yes, this is a garage, but it could also double or serve as some type of recreational space. Outdoor, same thing. Make sure that if you have the space to do so, that you're setting up a little space where people can see themselves spending time to relax outdoors in the yard, or maybe it's the front porch, but make that space inviting. Now, this next tip I think is great and very well could put more money in your pocket and could also lead to a few more offers. And that is to have the property pre-inspected. Now, this does come at an expense, and a home inspection usually is anywhere between $300 and maybe $500 and some odd, depending on the inspector. But if the seller can provide a home inspection up front, because this market is moving so fast, one of the reservations a buyer has, or one of their big concerns, is they want to come to the table and present a strong offer. And in the back of their mind, they know that some of the competing offers may not include a home inspection. A few things happens at that point. Either the buyer gets cold feet once they realize that the seller has multiple offers, and they just don't make an offer at all because they want to have their home inspection, but they feel as though they're not going to compete. So they bail. Another thing that may happen is they present an offer, but an offer that they're comfortable with, so that it makes up for the unknown, right? So they're going to leave some cash reserve since they aren't doing an inspection based on their agreement. But if there are some defects, they have some money left over. But if you have a home inspection, which you can disclose to either of those type of two buyers, well, you really kind of shut the door on their concerns. You are disclosing right up front some of the things that they're going to be aware of. So now that you have taken the concern out of their minds, now they can really put their best foot forward and give you a really solid offer. So I think this may be one of the biggest takeaways, in my opinion, for 2022. But again, it's going to come at an expense. Online marketing in 2022 is going to be extremely important. We saw some really creative things over the last year come out when it comes to marketing. Video has been something that I have been big on, and I do think that we're going to see a lot more use of video when it comes to marketing homes in real estate, because it does allow for us to create that emotional connection, which really is what real estate is about. But other marketing things such as virtual tours or 360-degree tours, I say virtual because you actually can put VR glasses on for some of these tours, but things, room measurements. You'd be surprised how many MLS sheets or listings are out there that don't have room measurements in their marketing. Professional marketing photos that highlight the property for all of the things that it has to offer. And you'd be surprised that not every professional photographer takes good real estate photos. So having a solid online presence in 2022 is definitely going to be key. Because keep in mind, we still have buyers that are making offers sight unseen. And if we can do things like give them a home inspection and give them a 360-degree virtual tour where they feel as though they could walk through our home from the comfort of their couch, well, that's going to go a long way in a market such as this. All right, you'll probably hate me for these last two, so I'm going to try to package them together because I'm sure you've heard this before. But know where you're going and hire a realtor. In this market more than ever, if you're considering selling your home, I don't care if you're thinking about buying another home or renting another home, inventory is insanely low. And although we don't have a crystal ball, a lot of speculation or surveys and forecasts suggest that we're going to see an increase for mortgage loan origination applications. What I mean by that is we're going to see more buyers attempt to enter the market in 2022. So I think the number's right around a 6% increase that we're expected to see. We're going to see more buyers. The demand is going to continue to be there. And if you don't know where you're going, again, because there's very little inventory, that is some pretty significant stress that you're going to have. So before you even put your house on the market, have a solid plan. Think about where you're going to go. Maybe it's going to be temporary housing if you're thinking about buying another house. By temporary, I mean maybe moving with family or even a short-term rental. So again, it's imperative in this market to know where you're going. Again, hire a realtor. I know you hate me for that, but I firmly believe that when it comes to real estate, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to sell your home, especially in a market where inventory is low like this and homes are just selling quickly. But what people tend to forget is that the magic that happens or the value that we tend to bring in a real estate transaction isn't selling the home, especially over years where we've lost control of the data. Companies like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, all these other companies are letting the consumer know when a house is available that meets their needs. Years ago, that was my job. I would let a buyer know that 123 Main Street was listed, it checks their boxes, and we should go see it. Now, my biggest value add is to help you stay out of trouble. My job is to make sure that when you do accept an offer, that not only are you accepting the best offer and that buyer is likely to make it to the finish line, but there's a lot of turbulence that happens in a real estate transaction, especially in this type of market. So do yourself a favor, align yourself with a phenomenal realtor or a team, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Because in this market, a really good realtor will get you top dollar, and what you think you're saving in commission, you may make out a lot well. So with all that said, once again, friends, I'm Chris Nelson with Jen Stone Realty, team lead of the Nelson Home Group, helping buyers and sellers here in the Montgomery County, Pennsylvania area and surrounding counties. Do me a favor, check in next week for the very next Just a Tip with Chris. Until then, take care.